would be approximately a 70% increase in their share price just to get back to... All right, welcome to Talking Investing. I am Tom, and as always, this is not financial advice. A little bit about myself. I have a background in accounting. I was a CPA. I've worked with numbers for over 30 years. I also have a couple of decades experience in retail trading. So my goal here is just to share some of my experiences, and hopefully we can make some money together along the way. We cover Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners quite a bit on this channel, so if that is content that you're interested in, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Also, I want to let everybody know we have a link to our free Discord down below, and we've just crossed 100 members, and we're starting to have a really good conversation in there. So again, the entry level is free. And that's where most of our conversation goes on. So we would love for you to join us and have you join in our conversation. The more, the better. So today I want to talk about a Bitcoin mining company called Hut8, stock ticker HUT, H-U-T. So let me just go over quickly who they are, and then I want to talk about their November update. I want to go through their financial statements and look at their chart. And I want to let you know what I'm thinking about them and how I'm playing Hut8. So this is Hut8's homepage. So I just wanted to go through a few things really quickly. So always ahead of the curve is what they say. And then you'll see they have three things below. They say number one, holder of self-mined Bitcoin in North America. So they actually hold over 5,000 Bitcoin, and they self-mined all of those Bitcoin. So they have more self-mined Bitcoin on their balance sheet than any of the other publicly traded North American miners, and that includes all the big ones. Marathon, just to be clear, Marathon actually has more total Bitcoin on their balance sheet, but they purchased 4,000 of those in January. So more than half of the Bitcoin that they have on their balance sheet, they did not mine themselves. So Hut8 has over 5,000, and those are all self-mined. The next thing they say is First, the first data mining company on the TSX. These guys are a Canadian company. They've traded on the Canadian Toronto Exchange, and recently this year, they listed themselves on the NASDAQ. Now, that has been a trend. Hut8, Bitfarms, Hive, and DigiHost, just to name a few, are all Bitcoin miners from Canada that have listed themselves on the NASDAQ this year. So Hut8 led the way. I think they were actually the first ones to get onto the NASDAQ. So the next thing they say is expertise. 4 years of successfully navigating bull and bear Bitcoin market cycles. So this is a big advantage that I believe Hut8 has over most of the competition in North America. Bitcoin mining is new. Up until just a short period of time ago, the economics of Bitcoin mining were very difficult. It was hard to make money. And as you guys know, the price of Bitcoin has exploded in the last 15 to 18 months. So, now all of a sudden it's a highly profitable endeavor. So there are a lot of new entries. Some of those new entries are great companies. I actually hold a pretty diverse portfolio of Bitcoin mining companies. However, a lot of them are very new. Within the last 1 to 1.5 years, they just entered the Bitcoin mining arena. They have gone through an entire halving cycle. They've gone through a crypto winter, and they know how all this stuff works. So that experience has been highly valuable to them. And you'll see when we look at their income statement, it shows, because this is a company that's making money. Most of the other Bitcoin miners, even though their gross profit margins are outstanding, they have so many startup costs and one-time items that they're taking large hits and having a hard time making profit in the year 2021. Now, again, for the most part, these are all high growth companies. So, the top line is very important, but it is nice to see Hut8 has already reached maturity to the point where they make money on a quarterly basis. All right, I just want to quickly go through. On December 2nd, they put out a press release. Hut8 Mining provides production update for November 2021. So in November, they say mining production highlights for November 2021. 265 Bitcoin were mined, resulting in an average production rate of 8.83 Bitcoin per day. So that was the best month that they have had this year. For whatever reason, they did not put out a report in October. However, if you look at their August and September and November reports, as well as their quarterly report for the period ended September 30th, you're able to impute that amount. They mined 248 Bitcoin in the month of October, so that was a very good month. They beat that in November, despite the fact that the difficulty rate continues to increase. They are mining more Bitcoin, and we'll take a look, and that's a function of the fact that they continue to have machines delivered and installed on a monthly basis, and that will be continuing all year next year as well. Next thing they say is 100% of the self-mined Bitcoin for the month of November were deposited into custody consistent with Hut 8's HODL strategy. So we talked about that. They're keeping 100% of all the Bitcoin they mined. That is how they have managed to amass such a large amount of Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Then lastly, they say total Bitcoin balance held in reserve is 5,242 Bitcoin as of November 30th, 2021. So they have over 5,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. That is a massive number. That is the most by far of self-mined Bitcoin. Like I said, Marathon is the only one that does have more Bitcoin in total on their balance sheet, but they did buy 4,000 of those Bitcoin, which is more than half of the Bitcoin that Marathon has. So extremely impressive, over 5,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. These guys have done a great job. All right, I want to talk revenue for a minute. Hut 8 achieves third consecutive record-breaking quarterly revenue in Q3 2021. This is their Q3 2021 press release. That is the period ended September 30th, 2021. Okay, so just a quick note, hash rate update. Hut 8 currently has an installed hash rate of approximately 1.7 exahash, which includes the converted hash rate from our fleet of NVIDIA GPUs. Our total current and contracted capacity stands at approximately 4.5 exahash, which includes the converted hash rate from the NVIDIA GPUs. Just so that you know what they're talking about there, they bought 10,000 NVIDIA GPUs. They are using those to mine Ethereum. Those chips are in high demand and hard to get, as are the ASICs chips. The ASICs chips mine Bitcoin only. The GPUs that they bought from NVIDIA cannot mine Bitcoin. However, what Hut 8 is doing is mining Ethereum, and they are getting paid out in Bitcoin so that they can continue to hodl Bitcoin on their balance sheet. In addition to that, we'll take a look at the fact that their gross profit margin on the Ethereum that they're mining, that they're converting to Bitcoin, is incredible. I believe they're working at a 95% gross margin on these NVIDIA chips that they bought. So they are paying for themselves very quickly. We all believe it seems like Ethereum at some point sooner than later is going to transfer over to proof of stake. At that time, they will have to do something else with these machines. There's several other things they can do. The NVIDIA chips are capable of mining many different Bitcoin, as well as the fact that they're supercomputers and they can use their computing power for other things. In the meantime, these will have paid for themselves in a very short period of time. Okay, I want to talk revenue. Q3 2021 highlights, third consecutive record quarter of revenue. So that's the first quarter of 2021, the second quarter of 2021, and the third quarter of 21. They broke their all-time revenue 3 times in a row. Now, in the third quarter, they hit $50.3 million of revenue. These numbers are all in Canadian dollars. This is a Canadian company. So they say with our self-mined operations, they had $47.9 million of revenue. They had another $2.4 million in hosting revenue. They also host machines. So that's some supplemental revenue for them. I believe that $2.4 million in revenue in that quarter, that is cash that they get paid that helps pay the overhead, and that is a part of what allows their HODL strategy so that they can keep all of the Bitcoin that they mine. We mined 905 Bitcoin in Q3 2021, all of which was added to our self-mined Bitcoin balance. I want to take a look at Q2 real quick just to put that in perspective. This is their Q2 press release. So if you go down to Q2 2021 highlights, they say second consecutive record quarterly revenue hitting $33.5 million in Q2 of 2021. So they got to $33.5 million of revenue in Q2 of 2021, and that was their all-time record. So just to put it in perspective, if we go back to Q3, they got to $50.3 million in revenue. So that is over a 50% increase in revenue. Q2 was their all-time record, and they increased that by over 50% in Q3. So this is astronomical growth quarter over quarter. Year over year, that would be unbelievable. That would make them a high growth company. Quarter over quarter, that is amazing. Now, they will almost certainly not be able to continue at that pace, at a 50% quarter over quarter revenue pace for very long. However, they will almost certainly in their fourth quarter beat this $50 million. So that will be the fourth consecutive record-breaking quarter that they had. And it is highly likely that all 4 quarters of next year, they will continue this streak. So that will be 8 quarters or 2 full years in a row of breaking their record revenue every single quarter. So this is what you want to see out of a high growth company. This is execution. And as we saw earlier, they're at 1.7 exahash right now. They already have purchase orders to get them up to 4.5 exahash, which is about 2.5 times what they're doing right now. So that is their path to continue to break their quarterly revenue records. Never mind the fact that if Bitcoin stays healthy and increases, that will further serve to increase their revenue on a quarterly basis. So with all that said, let's just take a quick look at the chart. Right now, it's near the end of the trading day. Hut 8 is trading at $7.80. So if I take where we are right now, and I just go back to this spot right here, which is December 9th, that is just 1 week ago. It would be a 25% increase in their stock price just to get back to where they were 6 trading days ago. So that is a massive potential upside. And if you look at Bitcoin, not much has really happened in the last 6 days. So the Bitcoin miners, along with most of the equity market, has just been dragged down over the last week. Again, this is not financial advice. You guys have to decide what you want to buy and when you want to buy it. But for me, I'm looking at a lot of very short-term potential upside. This purple line here at $7.70 has been an extremely strong line of support over the last 3 months. If I then go back to December 3rd, which again was less than 2 weeks ago, this was the day of the Bitcoin flash crash. So if they could just get back to that price, again, just 2 weeks ago, that is a 36% increase in their stock price. So if we go back to where they were on November 29th, that was a recent high for them. Again, now this is just 3 weeks ago. So these are very short-term numbers. That would be approximately a 70% increase in their share price just to get back to where they were 3 weeks ago. So if Bitcoin can just get a little bit healthy, there's a potential 70% increase. And we don't know if that's going to take a week, maybe a month, maybe 6 or 8 weeks. But even if it were to take 8 weeks, 70% upside is gigantic. So that's how I'm looking at Hut 8. My point is there's a lot of volatility, and a lot of times it's just being patient and waiting it out. Those are my thoughts on Hut 8 and how I plan on playing that. So you guys need to decide whether or not this is a play that works for you. Best of luck and thank you, and I will see you in the next video.